Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar about the GLPI 11. I know it's something that you've been waiting for a long time. We have already done one in French for our audience in French. And today you are with me, Arthur Schiffer, your tech writer here at GLPI. And we are going to talk a little bit about what's new in GLPI 11. So I have to give you some information before we start, and we hope that you can take a lot of advantage of this presentation. On our comment sections on YouTube and also on LinkedIn, which are our streaming platforms today, we have also people helping me with the technical questions that you might have. So feel free to comment and make questions. We will try to answer as much as we can, as many as we can. And this is the second time we are doing this, so we hope we have a better experience because we are doing it more and more. Feel free to also refer and share all of these YouTube and LinkedIn streaming on your social networks while it's happening, so more people can reach out to see what we have new in GLPI 11. Some of you may or may not have already installed the beta version and seen the new things that we have introduced into GLPI 11. We will try to make it not too long, so that's why we are also sharing at the end of this presentation a link where you can see a change log of all the changes that we have for GLPI 11. So we are not going to cover one by one here, but the most important changes that we have in GLPI 11. Good. So to start with, and not take all of your time, GLPI 11 is the new version that we have started for some years, for some months. And today I'm going to start by one of the most asked and most known features that we have in GLPI 11, which are the custom assets, the ability to have assets that are not just IT assets. This is something that come from, yes, the plugin's generic objects and also fields. They are going to be into the core of GLPI 11. Some of the features that you might see on the plugins are not on this first version of GLPI 11, but the goal is to keep pursuing the state where we have 100% of the features of these two plugins into GLPI 11. So also with your feedback and your experience, we are going to see which are the features that we are going to work more for the next steps. Every custom asset in GLPI 11 is created, and they have definitions where you natively will create some of the assets. Let's say you have, for example, furniture or real estate or planes or whatever you need to keep track of the life cycle, costs, everything that is related to an asset that costs something to your enterprise, your organization, can be now part of GLPI by its core, not just using a plugin. And this integration is, yes, come from the plugin that I've already said before, the generic object. So the ones that use generic object plugin already know this feature, but now it's in core. And yes, you can migrate all of your generic objects assets to the native version of the generic of the custom assets in GLPI. And inside every asset, we have an ability to compose the capacities of an asset by not having all that, I will say, mess, but sometimes we have some of the assets that don't use, let's say, ports, or they don't use network or contracts or appliances. They don't connect, but you see them and it makes a little bit messy when you see all of those tabs on your custom assets. Let's say a table. You have a table, and a table is not related to, I don't know, an inventory, for example. So you can enable or disable all the capacities that can compose and adapt the behavior to your needs. And not just that, but you can also make inventories of your assets. Let's say you want to split the categories of computers, let's say like computers, but also servers, virtual machines, Docker containers, and you want to split them into different categories on your left. Here you can see the assets. Let's see if I have another slide here. Yep. Come back to the old one. Yeah, here. If you see here below, you have all the assets like computers, monitors, software, and you want to create one of servers, and you can split, not to use just in computers and you have all this disorganized way. You can create a server asset and inventory it to servers or Dockers or virtual machines. You can create it, and I'm going to talk more about it in the next slides. Not just the capacities that are native to GLPI, you can also create custom fields to every asset that you need in many formats, like numbers, like text. You can create it and to make it available to the assets that you need. And no, one field that you create, you create one field to a table. This is not the same field for another custom asset like a server. So you can create customized fields to customize assets. And not just that, you can add which I said, you can edit and also delete and rearrange the fields. So you'll not see just the fields at the end of your assets, but also you can drag them to the, let's say, to top. If you don't want to see serial number on the 4th place, you can put it on the top of your list. This is a very good way to make it more personalized and customized to your needs. And for sure, we have the pretty forms. What are pretty forms? GLPI, until GLPI 10, we have this the plugin called Form Creator, which is very known. A lot of people like to use it, so you can customize all of your forms, create customized questions, create a life cycle of a form before it gets to a ticket. So to make it even more smooth in GLPI, we have introduced the pretty forms, the forms inside GLPI 11. It's not just, you don't need anymore to use the plugin to have pretty forms and good questions to make all the support lifecycle easier. So if you have already installed GLPI 11, you've probably seen that we have introduced a new editor. This new editor makes GLPI forms seems like top market tools that use forms, where you can create forms. It's like click to add a new question, choose the type of this question, and the things that you see on your editor is almost the same thing that you are going to see when you are filling up this form. So it was developed from ground. It was developed from zero, based on the idea that we have on Form Creator. And we were more focused on the user experience of this, not just the form itself, once it's published, but also on editing it, because admins know, the ones that use the Form Creator already know that sometimes it's kind of hard to edit and create a form, and after that go to preview and see what you are really doing. Now, when you are creating your form, you have quite the same thing that you will have after it's published. And not just that, you can split all your questions horizontally on up to 3 or 4, I believe, columns. so you can take advantage of your proportions of your proportions of your screen, which means prettier forms again. And you have a better experience on visibility conditions. These visibility conditions are related to sections, questions, and to be visible if something is answered. Let's say, I want to know which operating system it is, but just when someone chooses that the question about the type of asset is laptop, not just not for servers. So this is the visibility, and you can see that we have different colors to talk about criteria, to the, the to the selection of this criteria. And it's, I guess, I believe, in my opinion, this is my opinion, it's even easier to understand if the question or the section is going to be visible or not, and also if it's going to be hidden or not. Not to finish there, but we also have for sure the access control. With the access control in the forms, you can publish all of these forms privately, just to the ones that are accessing your GLPI with password and with a user and a password. You can also create public forms to people that are not authenticated to your GLPI. But not just that, you can allow specific users, groups, or profiles. Yes, you can create a form just for 1 to 5 users, or for selected profiles, and also for groups. For sure, for entities as well. You just need to create the forms inside the entity that you want. But now we have a more granular option to select and make it visible and published to other people. Not just that, if you look there down below users, all users, you'll see that we have a text that says there are 1008 users matching this criteria. So after you select the criteria that you want, like for profiles, users and groups, you can see how many people are seeing this form before it's published. So it's a better experience for admins. And for sure, the plugins with new features that are coming also to GLPI, we are going to talk in the next slides. The plugins can use these access control to create their own permissions while using the form created. After you edit and create all of your questions for every form, you can also generate 3 different kind of items. Before, we have the name called targets, and it's the same thing. The items to create is the same thing as targets in GLPI 11. You can create tickets, changes, and problems. And while you are filling up the answer body and title and all the properties, you can see that we have in orange and in green some auto suggestions. So while you are typing the things that you want to be in the item created, you can see some suggestions that come from your questions, which is also better experience for admins that want to create these forms. There's another thing, but I think I will talk about it when we talk about the validations. Every form is created in a language, but let's say you have a company or a client, or you need to have more languages, people that use more languages in GLPI. So yes, GLPI have quite a lot of translations to be done. I guess it's almost 50, 70, I don't remember well, all the translations that we have in GLPI. But once you create a form, you create personalized, customized questions. So you will need to have these forms to different people, and not to be not not to have like 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 of the same form in different languages. You can translate the questions and to make them available to different people, just typing, changing, switching their language on their own interface. So this is also part of the forms. You can take advantage of it. Not just questions, but also descriptions can be translated. And to accompany this, we have for sure a new portal for self-service users. There you can see we have a search interface where you can search for articles of the knowledge base, and also for forms that we have in created in GLPI. Down below, you can see a quick view of open tickets, and also solve tickets, RSS feed, all the things that we had before, but in a better experience for users. For sure, you can see here we have some images in blue and yellow. These are images that come from one of our new projects, which is called Illustrations. It's a repository that we have also on our GitHub. All of the images there are open source. We are creating more illustrations with our designer and inserting them there. You can use all of our images. I think that today we are in almost 90 pictures related to forms and also to knowledge base articles that you can insert there. And the colors you see here in blue will change if you change the theme in your GLPI. Let's say you choose a red theme in GLPI. All the images, all the icons here, and also the background on how can we help you will change according to your themes that you have. So again, every illustration can be also replaced by yours. Let's say you don't have an image that fits your need. You can just upload your own picture and use as you want. This portal is fully customizable by profiles and entities. Also, with the new portal, we have a services catalog, which is a way where you can show all of your services. And not just that, you can pin the ones, the forms or the knowledge base articles that are more important, and also split into categories. Here we have, for example, common issues and furnitures. This is a good way to organize your service catalog to your needs. Again, here it's the same thing. You can see all the images that come from our illustrations repository. These are not minor changes, but they are not into categories. They're more general, and they are very good to mention. So we are going to start with one that is very important because it talks about security, the 2FA option. Now, in GLPI 11, you can add the 2FA into local users, the internal database of GLPI, and also to users that come from IMAP or LDAP repositories. You can create 2FA to users using external applications like any Google Authenticator or Authy or anything like this. It comes also with a recovery system where if you don't have the access to your application anymore, to your 2FA application anymore, you can also recover it. It's a market standard nowadays, so we've implemented it based on the market. We believe that we are into a very good state about 2FA because it's almost the standard. It's the default of the market, the TOTP. It can be set for profiles, per groups, or user by user, or in general. You can say like everyone in GLPI needs to have a 2FA, or you can say that just one kind of profile or group or user needs to have the 2FA created. The webhooks are something that we are using already because it's something that was asked by one of our clients. So it's working right now. You can send HTTP queries to external applications. Webhooks is like having an email server that sends emails to other servers. Uh, I'm not saying that servers will read emails, but imagine that you send an email to someone and someone will take action on something. This is GLPI sending a notification to another application, and this other application can trigger something that is configured, set up on this other application. So that's why I called it like an email server for servers. This is good because everything that we see into our GLPI, like assets, like contracts that have actions, like adding a contract, updating a contract, deleting a contract, you can create these HTTP queries to be sent to other applications. And even to other GLPI, why not? Because every time you create a new webhook, you can edit their content, the payload, and once the other application receives it, it can use this application, this information to create another ticket to, let's say, integrate other systems. I believe that this is something very, very important for scenarios where you need to have some integration and according to triggers that come from GLPI. I will not show here, but webhooks also have the ability to filter these notifications like we have in general in GLPI. The filters that we see in the tickets list, for example, where you can, if to give it an example, if you have a new ticket, but with a title that doesn't have the word critical, you will not receive a webhook. The webhook is not being triggered. But if you create a filter to every time that a new ticket has critical on the title, it will triggers webhook. And if it's not there, the title critical, the webhook is not sent. This is the scenario where I have advanced filters. On your right, you can also see the review of HTTP queries, which helps a lot on troubleshooting. You can see rather if there's an error, if it's an authentication error, if it's sent or not. You can have more information when you click on queries log. To accompany, to go alongside the webhooks, we also have the new API on GLPI. We have the API in GLPI for a long time, but today, not today, but for this version, we have a different introduction of the new API based on market tools like Swagger and OpenAPI with better experience for endpoints, which is something that people has asked a lot to have a better solution. And not just that, but to be more secure. Before we had some hints, some difficulties with some SQL queries alongside the API, and now we have different endpoints. So it's a high-level REST API. We are not thinking about turning off the legacy API. So if you have applications using the legacy API and you need time to make them available also to this new API system, feel free to keep it for this moment. But we are not thinking about turning it off. It's going to be kept there, and you have the opportunity also to have some versioning of it. You have the version of it, the new API, and the version of the old API. And to be also alongside the API, we have created this OAuth server. Nowadays, you can, for example, take users from other servers, like I said, I've mentioned before, IMAP, from Entra ID, from Google, from other servers, and logging into GLPI using their credentials. With the OAuth server in GLPI, you can do the inverse. So you can use users in GLPI to log in other services. It's one of the things that OAuth server brings, the ability to be an identity provider. But not just that, the main goal was to make the API more secure, so you can create different um, credentials. Well, not say credentials, but clients, OAuth clients. So the API is more secure. You can have more granular permissions to access the API, and also to secure all the GLPI agents that are sending requests to your GLPI server. Using the I'm not sure about the version of the GLPI agent that already have it, but the last version of the GLPI agent already have this this option to authenticate the login, to authenticate the inventory that is sent to your cloud instance, let's say. So that's why we also introduced the OAuth clients server. Sorry. Like I've mentioned before, yes, the filter notification. This is the same system that we have into webhooks. You can also have now for notifications. To not have like 100 notifications for minor or critical things into GLPI, you can, yes, have, let's say, a trigger for a notification for new tickets that is sent, but just if some of the criteria are batched. So in this case, the notification will be sent just when the ticket is an incident and the priority is major. Unless we don't have these criteria, the notification is not sent, even though we have like 100 or 200 tickets into that day. But just when these are created, these criteria are matched. This is something that we have on webhooks and also into notifications. I almost forgot, before we move on, I almost forgot we have a surprise at the end, right? So don't get out. We have a surprise at the end. Uh, so keep there. We have some improvements on the assistant module into GLPI. The first one is related to our for sure business rules. For a long time, we had the business rules into tickets, but we also needed some business rules for changes and problems. They are the same as in tickets, just not the special criteria and the special actions that we have into changes and problems, because some fields are different. But the idea is the same, to have the same engine, but for changes and for problems. And here we have this new validation system. I mentioned before that I would talk about some other thing that we had into forms. Before, we have different IDs for answers in forms and different IDs for tickets once they are created. We don't have it anymore. Now, every form needs to have an item to create, be it a ticket, be it a change, or be it a problem. So the first validation of an answer to become a ticket, a change, or a problem becomes a new multi-validation system in GLPI 11. So you can have several steps for one ticket to go on, to move on to the next step. And to accompany this, to have it also alongside the multi-validation, we have created templates for validation. So you don't need to rewrite every time the same thing for a validation. Not just that, you can also use the tweaks that we already have in follow-ups and tasks, but on validations. You can create them for different users, for different groups, and with a default text, so you don't have different ways of speaking it. The external ID is a field in GLPI that probably people have created with the fields plugin, but now it's part of the core, and we can use the API to visualize it, to insert information there, and create for sure integrations between third-party applications or different GLPI instances. You can use this external ID field and relate tickets between systems. It's a good way to track tickets that are in different scenarios where you don't use just your GLPI to provide support to your clients. We have some general CMDB enhancements. Uh, not Yeah, I've talked about the custom assets, but they are more related to the new opportunity to create assets that are not into GLPI. But we also introduced the ability to have multiple assets groups that are responsible for that asset. Before we had uh, a group that is using the asset, and also a group that is in charge of that asset. Now you can have, for example, different kind of groups that must have some kind of access, but don't have an addition access to that asset. So you can create different profiles for them. Let's say profile N1 in this case, and profile N2, and relate the users to their groups. So the N1 can just view all the assets, but can't edit any of those assets. So this is something that can be more granular again, and you can attribute the same asset to multiple groups. A server for a system team or a hardware team, you can have different permissions for them. On inventory, we had these already coming from our GLPI agent. So we've received that on our XML file. If you look into an XML file of your GLPI agent, you'll see that environments and also the processes variables, the processes and environment variables were already there. The idea is not to be a monitoring tool, because the GLPI agent itself, when it runs, it uses some load of your processor and RAM memory. But you can have a quick hint, a quick scene, a quick view of your scenario, where you can see all the variables of environment and processes of your asset. And for sure, not every GLPI agent is run like every second. It's run every 12 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, according to your organization. So now, now we have just created some new tabs to see these environments and processes, not just on XML files, but also in GLPI. This works just on Linux servers at this time. And if the GLPI agent is installed, if you make an SSH inventory, let's say, you will not see these variables and these environments, these processes and environments tabs, just on GLPI agent assets that come to GLPI. We have some improvements also on our graphical panels. You can upload your images for network devices, and if you take the time to set where are the ports of your devices, you can say this is the port 1, 2, 3, 4, and see the status of this port. Yes, it's it's a manual drawing, like the racks, where you have to create all the racks and put them in the order that you want, and also the impact analysis that we already have in GLPI 10. But once you do it, you can usually see what is remotely in your organization, just taking a hint on these images. So the images are not templates that come from GLPI. You must have your templates and create them, upload them to your template network devices templates, and then draw the ports for your switches, network devices. Like I've said before, we can now have the custom assets to be inventoried into your GLPI, and to make sure that they are transferred and transformated. They are item types to the correct category that are created. Again, with some examples. You have a computer, you have a laptop, you have servers, you have virtual machines, and you want them to be inserted in the correct category. Now, if you look into your administration rules tabs module, you'll see on your left a schema, a more comprehensive schema to inventory rules. These are the steps of an asset once it is inventoried into GLPI. The agent will send the inventory file. It will transform the item type. When we say transform item type, it's the categorization of assets. Then we are going to have the other rules that we already have into GLPI, assigning entity, location rules. So everything is in this schema. This is the order. And the GLPI agent has the, what is the word here? Has the option to have it on the file to say it's a server, it's a laptop, or it's a VM. And you can also use tags to transform this item type. So if it's not coming from the GLPI agent, it will use the tags that are also on your GLPI agent to transform this item. This is just a way to make it clearer how all these rules are working in GLPI 11. And if you have any other ideas on how to make it even clearer, please, we are more than pleased to have, more than glad to have your feedback on this. And I have some smaller changes in GLPI, which are, first one, if you see our list, we have also, again, made some changes on our header for filtering tickets. So let's say now on your, if you open the tickets list, not just the ticket, but every place in GLPI that has a list, have this new visualization, this new user experience. On your left, you'll see an icon, like a bookmark icon, where you have your saved searches that we've created before. On green, we have our filter options. So you can create them, and sometimes we have a list of, I don't know, 50 or 40 filters. It was quite big when you have this open. Now you can just create them, click on search, and then just hide. So what is in green there is there where you see waiting since 1 week is the name of the saved search or the criteria that you have for your search. And in orange, it's another feature that we've introduced before already, which is the sort of your tickets, of your list. We have a multi-sort system where you can hit control and click on the order of sort of your list. Let's say you want to see the incidents, and then the second criterion for this sorting is last update, and the third is the priority. Now you can create this just clicking on this orange tab and selecting the option of sort. The last important things to our list are now on our right corner of this view, this module. So you can see the map, the deleted things of this list, and also the default view of your list, which is headers has been redone for that. Also, the option to export is here on your right. If you see here, I don't know if you can see, we have this, not the last icon, but before the last icon that we have for import on your right. You can change the display preferences just by dragging and drop all of them, so you don't have this refreshing every time you have to click move to top, move above, move above, move above, move below. Now you can just click and drag it to the top or to the order that you want. I don't have here the screenshot, but in GLPI 11, you can also configure the ticket list for self-service users, not just for admins. So you can make it simpler for self-service users and more complex to admins. We have some improvements for more advanced tools, like when you have the LDAP connection and replica status. This makes life of admins more, let's say, easier. So you don't have to go into Linux consoles and see the logs, open files. Now you can just take a hint on where is the problem between the synchronization of your LDAP connection or your SQL replica. It's also something for cloud instances where you don't have access to or you don't want to give access to consoles of servers. Alongside that, we have a viewer for logs, which means you don't need, again, to open a lot of files. You can see all the logs just clicking on administration logs, access logs, error logs, cron logs, everything is there. And not just that, you can filter the logs to see, just to keep track on the files that you want to see. Let's say you have an error code and you want to see just this error code on the log. You can do that. You can truncate the logs and also download them to use it on external applications. Some other smaller but not unimportant changes are: one, we are still working, and you are probably eager to know more about the release date, which is something that a lot of people ask. This is one of the most watched episodes on our GLPI 11 The Next Level series. But we are still working a lot on the user experience of Form. We want to have a very smooth editor, which is very powerful to make admins' life even easier. We have some small tweaks on the portal, some small modifications for illustrations, some things that while we are testing it and receiving feedback, we need to make sure that it's working really well for our final version. And for sure, we are also implementing more illustrations so you can use them on your organization. The debug migrations are related for sure to the custom assets and to the fields, the customized fields. We had some forms and some content from partners where we are working on to make this migration smoothless and with no errors for you, or the less errors the better, let's say. So your feedback also on these migrations is important to make sure we create a very good final version. For sure, the documentation, we have a dedicated team working on documentation of these new features, but not just the new features, the older features that were changed, or if they were not clearer enough. We have a dedicated team on that. And for sure, the plugins. We have, at the moment, almost 50% of all the GLPI network plugins, which are on our offers of subscription and GLPI Cloud Network, that are already ready to GLPI 11. We have a different framework on GLPI 11, which is more secure, brings more possibilities of security, but also brings a lot of things to be remade into GLPI plugins. And for the community plugins that we maintain, 25% of them are already ready to GLPI 11. But this is a work in progress, and we hope to have it soon on 100%. This is something that I think this slide a lot of people is waiting for. Now we are, I guess, on beta 3 or 4. I'm not sure the number because we have the beta 4 to be also released. So I don't know if at this moment it was already released. The idea of having multiple beta versions is to have all the changes for the beta 1 bugs, beta 2 bugs, beta 3 bugs into the. We have less changes until we have a release candidate and a final version. So in the next month, which means June, we hope to have a release candidate. And yes, the release is planned to September. Let's say the start of September, on the first 15 days, is the idea to have it released. The final version, not the release candidate. So beta version now, we are working on new beta versions. In June, we have a release candidate. And in September is the idea to have a final version. To make sure we have a good version, a good release candidate, we more than encourage you to test GLPI 11 beta, the latest beta version. So yes, you can have a separate instance of your GLPI. You can take, for example, your GLPI 10, make a different instance, and then update it to GLPI 11, but the latest beta that we have, and start to migrate options, create new things, try your processes, prototype it, and give us feedback. Your feedback is more than important to have a good final version. So please, you are more than encouraged. If you see here on this slide, we have the change log, which is where we have all the changes that we have in GLPI. This is a living document, so it changes almost every day or every week. You can keep track of everything we've changed or inserted into GLPI and use that as let's say as a guide to your tests. And right now we have our LinkedIn challenge. So first of all, I have to thank you that are here until now. We are on, I can see 97 on my platform, but I'm not seeing the LinkedIn and YouTube. I don't know if this number is accurate. So thank you for the ones that are here until now. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, not the beginning, in the middle of the webinar, we have this little surprise. You just need to follow us on LinkedIn, GLPI Developed by TechLeap. Write a post on your profile. So be creative. Talk about something you liked into GLPI 11 or on this in this presentation, please. And fill up this form that we have into this QR code. I will let it for a moment so you can scan it. So we have a surprise for you after you do these 3 steps. Follow us, write a post on your profile. You can and tag us for sure, and be creative on that. Alex, do you have any questions, or you've managed all of them? Alex has also mentioned on comments, we have an email that where you can send us your questions or anything that you want related to GLPI 11. It's not a support email address, but you can make your questions there if it's not just a bug, if it's a question. So it's glpi11@techleap.com. It's on our comments here on the chat. And also Alex has let all the links. Yes, he has also let all the links on our chats. So feel safe to feel free to go there. So if you don't have any other questions, I think Alexander has managed all of them. Can you auto assign tickets? Yes, you can create some business rules and assign these tickets. This is something that is already into GLPI, so you can create that. QR code is not readable. May I check? If it's not, I'm sending the link also. Yeah. It's on YouTube. Alex, can you send them? Can you send that on LinkedIn, please? I don't know if they are not seeing the. They can scan, but I could hear. Okay, good. So thank you for your time, for your presence here. We hope to see you soon to hear more about your feedback on GLPI 11. Feel free to reach us out and see you in the next time.